There we go, y'all. Good to see everybody. December 4th, right? December 4th, Friday. Made it through the first week of, first week of December, kind of. So go ahead and begin the starter. Questions directly from yesterday's assignment. And I hope y'all did it. I was not there yesterday, but you still had your work in Canvas. All right, anti-Semitism can be described as hatred of Jews, true or false. 2, Adolf Hitler was the creator of anti-Semitism, true or false. 3, Jews were often portrayed as demonic or to be in relationship with the devil, true or false. These are all directly from the video. 4, ideology is a pattern of beliefs that lead to action, true or false. And then 5, the book The Poisonous Mushroom was banned from German schools because of anti-Semitic themes, true or false. Okay, so please answer those questions now. We'll move on in probably 90 seconds. All right, here we go. Summary today, analyze Nazi propaganda. That is our objective. We're going to just look and understand the implications of global interactions. As we look at Holocaust, World War II, looking at just Germany's, interactions with those around them, and just how its overall impact units Europe. Statement of inquiry, ideology impacts interactions. Synchronous work is the starter, which you should have done. We're going to begin 55 Nazi propaganda, and then December 4th, ticket out the door. And then your asynchronous work is to complete page 55, okay, Nazi propaganda. So let me preface this, okay? Let me explain some things here. We're going to go over some stuff today, and then you're actually, first thing Monday, you're going to do a formal quiz on this content. So that the starter on Monday is going to be a formal grade. So whatever I'm talking about today, we're going to do this probably 2 or 3 times and practice this 2 or 3 times. And then Monday, you need to show mastery by the way that you complete a similar task for the starter. Any questions about that, you can put them in the chat. Okay, but I just want you to know this is one of those skills that you have to master, similar to analyzing documents with a document analysis sheet. This is something that is very similar. Okay, any questions? Go ahead and put them in the chat. Okay. Yep. We're talking about tacos today, so you'll figure out what I'm talking about here in just a little bit. So everybody go to 55 in your digital notebook. 55 in your digital notebook. I'll give you 30 seconds. All right, everybody should be on page 55. So what you're going to see on page 55, if you're looking at yours right now in your digital notebook, you're going to see poster 1, then you're going to see an organizer, okay? You're going to see an organizer that if you look at the first letter of each of those categories, time, actions, captions, objects, and summary, it's going to spell out the word tacos. So that's a way that we're going to use in a system that we're going to use to provide us with a system for analyzing political cartoons, analyzing like this intentional art that people have created that has a kind of a purpose to it, a message to it, and we're going to use that to help us analyze, okay, these documents or these posters. So anybody know what propaganda is? Go ahead and type it in the chat. Anybody? Anybody? Anybody want to look it up too? Put it in the chat. What is propaganda? Because not all propaganda is Nazi propaganda. They were masters of it, that's for sure. Anybody? Anybody? You want to type the definition in the chat? Yeah, you definitely have a swayed opinion. It's very biased, very biased. Okay, you have propaganda that's from Nazi Germany, and it's swayed towards them and makes them usually look good. You have propaganda from the United States, which makes the United States look good. Okay, yeah, good, right? Information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. Think about advertising, but advertising for a country or a political point of view. That's what propaganda is. So let's take a look at it. And I want y'all to work in the digital notebook here as we go through this. So the first thing we need to do, and these are examples of Nazi propaganda. And I have 3 posters, and you'll see poster 1, 2, and 3 also on page 55 in the digital notebook. All right, I want everybody to write down what time frame you think this first poster is from, and you can also put it in the chat. It doesn't say, right? It doesn't say the time. So we need to guess. We need to infer a little bit what we think it's from. Yeah, I bet it's the 1930s. I bet it's the 1930s. Maybe it could be 1940s, but I bet it's the 1930s. Okay? All right, so put that in your digital, put that in on your digital notebook for the time of poster 1. Just give us the overall time frame. Now, I'm not looking for on Monday when we get into this and you do one on your own, if it doesn't say the actual time on the poster, then you need to guess. Okay? All right, I'm just looking for you to guess based on prior knowledge. I'm not looking for exact years. For example, I'm looking at this. I don't know the exact year. I could look it up. All right, look at the details up of this poster. But it doesn't say specifically. So I could simply say the 1930s. Okay. Any questions about how to do the time? Okay. All right, let's move on then. Actions. What actions do you see in this poster? Type in the chat. No, you're not making your own poster. You're not making your own poster. You're looking at the poster that's on the screen. Okay, good. Yeah, holding a flag. Okay, holding up a Nazi flag. What else? Yeah, riding a horse. Good, type those in and just list them out. I wouldn't say the Nazi flag is not an action. We're gonna get to objects soon. Yeah, right? So we got a horse. Someone's riding a horse, holding a flag. Okay. And I would be satisfied with those 2 answers. Let me know when you're ready to move on to the next thing. All right, so let's look at captions. Do you see any words, specific words in here? I don't, honestly. I maybe see the artist's name down here in that bottom right corner, but I don't see like speech bubbles, because usually I use tacos as we look at political cartoons. So usually you have speech bubbles and things that people are saying. Yeah. So you could say no captions right there. You can say no cap. All right. And then we'll move on. All right, so here we go. Next thing, objects. Objects. I got a good question. Can you put Hitler in as an object? Yeah, you can. You can. So let's look at the objects here. Okay. If I'm looking at objects, what do you have? Flag? Yeah, flag. You can even say Nazi flag as well. Okay. Other objects, you see a person, right? You could put Hitler if you have the prior knowledge to identify the individual. Yeah, good. Saddle, a horse, right? What? There's something else though, right? Suit. Yeah, like armor, a suit. Yep. Yep. Yeah. No, a person ultimately is not an object, but in this situation, it could be objects or people. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't. Um. Yeah. Yeah. So look back at your comments. All right. 30 seconds. Moving on. All right, so here's the fun part. Well, I guess not the fun part, but here's the part I enjoy about this. What do you think this means? What is the artist trying to tell us? What are they trying to portray? Now, here's what you got to think with Nazi propaganda or with propaganda in general. It's trying to persuade you to think a certain way and feel a certain way. So if I'm looking at this, what is this artist, do you think, trying to tell you? Go ahead and just put your thoughts and ideas in the chat. Let's just get a wide variety. Let's get a wide variety, and then I'll take a look and we'll talk about each of them. But again, look at that poster. Look at the time, 1930s. The actions, riding a horse, holding a flag, captions, none, objects, flag, armor, horse, saddle. And what do you think is the overall meaning of this piece of artwork? So let's get some more in the chat. Keep typing in the chat, 30 seconds. Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, right? So I see a lot of different comments. I'll speak to each of them, right? Getting ready for battle. For me, if I'm looking at this, and here's where I'm going to give you a little bit of insight to this based on my prior knowledge as well. Okay, we got to look between the lines here. We got to look in depth at what's happening. And I see, yeah, you look at that face, it's a very serious face that Hitler has, right? He's ready for battle. Where is he in the battle lines, do you think? Where is he? If you had to imagine, where do you think he is? He's in the front, right? He's in the front of the battle, in my opinion, looking at this. That's an inference that I make from this political, not political cartoon, but poster, propaganda poster. Okay? And so I'm looking at this, and if I look at like traditional stories and thought, the person that's leading on a horse is almost viewed as like a savior or messiah or leader. And so you can kind of interpret this as, what is Hitler doing for Germany? He's leading them, but he's going to like save them. and he's going to, be the ultimate leader and savior of Germany and the German people and the country and the Aryan race. He's going to lead them to victory. Right? He's got that armor on from is that armor from 1930s? What do you think? Is that the way the Germans went to battle, looking like that? Yeah, I don't think so. No, they're not going in like old school horses into battle with this armor on like a knight. Okay? That portrays something. That means something. That suit, that object. Okay? So think about that way. So go ahead and put a summary in there in that last box for the political, for the tacos organizer. I'm going to actually pull up a little bit more details on this specific piece of propaganda. All right, can y'all see that new thing that I put up on the screen? I don't think you see the old one, though. I think you probably see that new one, right? So here it is, right? The standard bearer. So here we have 1935. So we were pretty close with that. Okay, so we were pretty close with that. Yeah, look at that, right? Look at that analysis. The portrait depicts Hitler as a messianic figure gazing toward a better future for Germany. Nazi flag, okay? So this artist, he's an Austrian artist. And I believe, right, it says art exhibition 1937. Some say Hitler himself handpicked this image after not liking other artwork that was created, okay? His official photographer and exhibition judge had the image made into a postcard around 1938. So Hitler basically saw this and said, hey, this is it. This is the way I want to be portrayed. This is what I want to share with everybody, and made it like a postcard. Okay. And during the war, a U.S. soldier pierced the painting with the bayonet. It was then transferred to the U.S. Army Art Collection or German War Art Collection, where it remains to this day. So I wonder, so it's in the U.S. Army Center of Military History right now in Washington, D.C., the actual poster. That'd be really cool to see as a primary source. Okay. All right. Now, let's continue on here. Let's continue on. Any questions about that one? Any questions? Let's work on number 2 together. Let's work on number 2 together. Second one. All right. Yeah, the words. Whew. I gotta look that up and let y'all know. I like what it means. Let me shrink this down a little bit. All right, so here we go. Right. Go ahead and start working on that right now. I'm gonna play the music and I'll look up some of the content here to give you a better idea of like the captions or the words. But work on everything else and see what you come up with, and then I'll kind of go through some of that content. All right, so that basically says he is guilty of war or for the war. He is guilty for the war. So that was what you could put as the caption. So that's what it means. That's basically in German says he is guilty for the war. Okay, so use that to help you interpret and go through the tacos organizer for poster number 2. All right, so start typing in here. What do you think the time is of this one? Again, it's an inference. It's not specifically in there. So if I'm giving the formal grade on Monday and you don't get the time exactly right, then I'm okay with that. But I don't want you being way off, like saying, hey, the time is 2020. Okay. All right. That's not what I'm looking for. So yeah, maybe the 30s again. For me, if I know that this is saying that they're guilty for the war, then they're in the middle, closer to the middle of the war. Okay. All right. So, yeah, so we're probably, in fact, this is from 1943. But I would give credit. That would be right. 1930s, I'd say you're good, right? Everybody that mentioned in the chat. But again, this one tells me because it's saying you're guilty for the war, they're probably more in the middle of World War II, which is fine. So y'all are good. Y'all are good there. Yep. Actions. What actions do you see? What actions do you see? Yep. Yeah, somebody pointing a finger. That finger, man, that looks like they're ferociously pointing that finger. Like, I don't want that finger being pointed at me. Like, that's a strong looking hand, right? Like, yeah, okay, I see that cowering. That's a good term, right? In the chat. That person is cowering. Okay. Yeah, for sure. And okay, let's move on to the next one. Captions. What captions do we have? Kind of mentioned it earlier. Right? Our captions, if you can look earlier in the chat, right? He is guilty for the war. Yeah, he is guilty for the war. Then objects. Objects. What do you see for objects? What do you have? And you want to get, yeah, person in a suit. Let's get you got to get detailed here. Badge, yeah, a badge. Good. I see that top hat, that hat, right? For me, people that do political cartoons or propaganda, everything is intentional. Everything's intentional. Badge, hat, suit coat, right? A person, a hand pointing a finger. I would list all those. You can't can't say too much in the organizer. So then now let's interpret it. Yeah, bigger nose. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, summary. What do you think? What do you think this is representing? What do you think the summary is? What's being communicated by the artist of this propaganda poster? What do you think? Put in the chat. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah, yeah. Good, I'm looking at that, right? So, one, does this person that is being pointed at, he's not being portrayed as poor, in my opinion. He's got a suit coat. He's got that nice hat on. Right? So, yeah, definitely being blamed for the war. You look at that, right? Saying, hey, you're responsible for the war. It is your fault. The war is your fault. Okay? You're being blamed. Okay? And again, yeah, the Star of David represents that this individual is a Jew and being pointed at them. And if you look at the videos from before, anti-Semitic art, they're being portrayed with larger noses. That's intentional. Okay. And so that's what's going on here. Any questions about this one? All right, take a look here. So he is guilty for the war. 1943 anti-Jewish poster intended to persuade Germans that the Jews were responsible for starting the war. And this same artist made many posters, Nazi propaganda posters. Okay. All right. Here's number 3. Do that for your asynchronous time today, please. Do this third one for asynchronous time. But I want everybody to go to Ticket Out the Door. Please go to the Ticket Out the Door. And that's, again, that's what you need to do for your asynchronous work today. All right. Let's see. I'll try and add. You do the Ticket Out the Door. I'm going to try and add the captions, like what those words mean. But y'all do the Ticket Out the Door. And I'll try and do that right now. All right, so hopefully y'all are done with the the Ticket Out the Door. All right, so I added some captions there. Okay, this first one, right? He is guilty for the war, and then this one kind of just says the German student, and then for the Führer, the leader and people. I think that's kind of what is happening here. I'm not exactly sure. It looks like maybe student something. I don't know exactly what that says, but you can maybe do a little Google Translate. Okay. So that is it for the day. Remember, you got to do that third one for your asynchronous work. And I'm going to give you a poster on Monday. And you have to go through and fill out a tacos organizer in Canvas to show mastery. So make sure that you know how to do that. And any questions about that, please take your time to ask now because I want to make sure that you are prepared for Monday. Okay.